TV's millionaire newlyweds, fresh from their honeymoon, next ET.
A dead heat in the cold of winter. McCain and Bush in the Battle of Michigan. A must-win for McCain. We'll talk with him. A reign of terror in California has homeowners living on edge. And an Eye on America investigation. Big drug companies, Congress, the FDA, and new drugs rush to market.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. On this President's Day, two men who would be campaigned one last day for the now critical Republican primary in Michigan, the first big northern industrial state battleground of the race. After a double-digit loss in conservative South Carolina over the weekend, John McCain knows he has to beat George W. Bush tomorrow in Michigan and Arizona to keep his campaign alive. And with just hours to go, the Michigan polls, if you care to believe them, say the race is too close to guess. CBS News coverage begins with Bill Whitaker in Detroit. Bill?
Dan, the candidates have spent little time here, but the stakes are enormous. Michigan could make or break them, leaving Bush or McCain hobbling into the big Super Tuesday contest just 2 weeks away. His political life resurrected, George W. Bush dropped the sackcloth of defeat and humility he wore into South Carolina and put back on the shiny robes of the heir apparent, confident he has Michigan sewn up.
We've got a volunteer army on the ground. We've got a group of citizens who are working hard to turn out the vote.
John McCain again has picked up the mantle of underdog. The empire struck back, and he's in the political fight of his life.
I'm just like Luke Skywalker trying to get out of the Death Star. I'm telling you, they're shooting at me from everywhere.
You might confuse Bush, this year's comeback kid, with a quick change artist. The conservative with compassion turned hard right down south and stood uncritically at Bob Jones University, which has been criticized for anti-black and anti-Catholic views. But whistling Dixie may not work in Michigan, a big, diverse, urban state.
There's still a lot of moderate Republicans in the state of Michigan
who might be drawn to McCain. To nab them, both campaigns have hit the airwaves and the phones. But Bush's big bucks and the organization of his friend, Governor John Engler, could make the difference.
Literally hundreds of people doing telephone calling on behalf of George W. Bush. That can't hurt.
But the powerful governor has many enemies, too. Jeffrey Feidler, Engler's political opponent and Dr. Jack Kevorkian's attorney, is running this radio ad.
Now Engler wants you to support George W. Bush. That's dumber. John Engler and George W. Bush. Dumb and dumber.
And if you thought time was too short to sling mud here, you were wrong. Dan?
Bill Whitaker in Detroit. The key to victory in Michigan may well be swing voters, independents, and Democrats who can, if they choose, vote in the Republican primary. Veteran CBS News political reporter Bob Schieffer, our Washington bureau chief, has been surveying the landscape for the Michigan Open.
Detroit's Second Canaan Baptist Church is known for gospel music. What it's not famous for is turning out a big Republican vote. But listen to what happens Sunday.
Because I'm asking you for one day to vote on the Republican side and to vote for John McCain.
Democrat Lamar Lemons openly admits he's doing this to embarrass Michigan's longtime Republican governor, John Engler, who's heading the Bush campaign here. How many of these traditional Democrats will follow his lead is open to question. But the possibility that upscale Democrats and independents, like those who work in the high-tech plants that surround Detroit, may turn out for McCain is real enough. Over the weekend, that was evident around the state.
I'm a Democrat, and I'm going to cross over and vote for McCain, for sure.
That's why Brooks Patterson, a Bush backer and the top Republican in conservative Oakland County, is nervous.
A month ago, it's going to be a cakewalk. Right now, it's going to be a scramble to the end.
He has reason to be worried. Unlike South Carolina, which loves establishment candidates, Michigan loves all kinds of maverick candidates. George Wallace won the Democratic primary here in '72. Jesse Jackson won it in '88.
Knowing that, and with his own prestige on the line, Governor Engler's put on a full-court press for Bush. He's never far from his side and has put both his staff and his grassroots organization at Bush's disposal.
I think the momentum may be a little bit with George Bush, but it will come down to getting our vote out, and that's why we're working very frantically to make sure we don't leave anything to chance.
So with polls showing a dead heat, local observers say that unlike South Carolina, this one could be decided by crossover Democrats, which is why Bush backer Patterson is glued to the Weather Channel.
Tight, but we're going to eke it out. God, I hope it snows. Democrats don't like snow.
Bob Schieffer, CBS News, Detroit.
One of the big arguments in the Bush-McCain race is who is the real reformer. A short time ago, I talked to Senator McCain about that and more. You have said, and I think this is a direct quote, if George Bush is a reformer, you're an astronaut. What do you mean by that?
He started out this campaign never mentioning the word. And then when we made it an important part of this whole campaign, then he has adopted it, but not successfully, because he's still not prepared to go to the heart of what reform is all about, and that's campaign finance reform. Because they're setting up, his organization, his pioneers are setting up right now organizations and apparatus to funnel tens of millions of dollars of soft money into his campaign if he gets the nomination. That is something that's utterly wrong, and exactly what Clinton and Gore did in 1996.
Senator, it's common in the press corps, at least, and in some political circles, to say, whatever you think of John McCain, he's destined to lose because George Bush has him on all three of the big three: money, media, and message. You agree?
We proved in New Hampshire that we had the message. I don't know about the media. He's got more money. I mean, he's already spent $60 million more than anybody in history. But, Dan, this is about the heart of the Republican Party. Are we going to let Jerry Falwell tell us what the party should do? Or are we going to let a message of Reagan, Democrats, inclusionism, a big party, and one that can govern again be the way that this party goes? People are going to have a choice, and I believe that they'll come down on my side.
Senator, a person alive with your campaign in Michigan, State Senator John Schwartz, said on Sunday, and I quote him, "When I think of George Bush, I kind of say smoking jacket. When I think of John McCain, full metal jacket." What did he mean by that?
Oh, I think, I hope what Senator Schwartz said, and he's a very good man and a veteran himself, believes that I'm fully prepared and fully qualified to be President of the United States, and more qualified than Governor Bush is. I'm convinced of that, as is he.
Senator, thank you very much. Democrat Bill Bradley has a stake in how McCain does tomorrow. We'll have more about that for you and the latest on the Bradley-Gore race later in this broadcast. But right now, the CBS Weather Watch. Another big storm is pounding Southern California. Some areas got 2 inches of rain or more today, causing minor flooding. Flood watches went up over much of the Los Angeles area. This is the latest in a series of La Nina-related storms to hit the west this month. The wet weather means danger for many people who live along the California coast. Their homes are now in jeopardy. CBS's John Blackstone shows you how the changing weather is changing their lives.
La Nina has taken California from desert dry to soaked and soggy. With 3 months' worth of rain falling in just 3 weeks, fears of drought have been replaced by fears of landslide.
The backyard is totally gone, and I'm afraid it's going to just slide on over the cliff.
On Leela Smith Street in Daly City near San Francisco, sidewalks and foundations are cracking as homes slide toward the Pacific. The next heavy rain could bring orders to evacuate.
We just stuck here between a rock and a hard place.
Down the coast near Big Sur, a big slide has closed Highway 1. It was 2 years ago in Rio Negro that a massive mudslide triggered by El Nino's heavy rains destroyed a dozen homes. Today, there's little indication anyone ever lived here. As pleasant as it now seems in Rio Negro, up here above the canyon, it's clear the danger remains. This huge landslide is still active, vulnerable every time there's heavy rain. Even on a sunny day in Pacifica, California, thoughts of landslide are never far away.
I mean, we're still suffering some erosion.
It's still falling away.
It's still,
2 years ago, Jane Tellini had an oceanfront home.
My bathtub that sat alone was right there.
In 1998, her street became a symbol of El Nino's destruction.
They started at one end of the block, demolishing the homes. They got to mine, and mine committed suicide. They just touched it with the claw, and mine went, we're going down with dignity.
Now the weather's put more California homes on the brink.
With El Nino and then La Nina, seems like we're messing with Mother Nature, and Mother Nature's going to mess back.
And now she's leaving a mess all along the California coast. John Blackstone, CBS News, Pacifica, California.
Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, U.S. troops are on the front lines as violence flares again in Kosovo. And later, the pressure to make new drugs available before all the risks are known.
You are in the fight of your life. Just you against your smoking addiction, one-on-one. Trouble is, it's not a fair fight, and few people win it. But you can give yourself a fighting chance to win with Zyban. Zyban doesn't work for everyone. Zyban is part of a comprehensive program from your doctor to help you stop smoking. It's different from nicotine replacements. Zyban is the only prescription medicine that's nicotine-free, so you don't have to stop smoking all at once. As Zyban reduces your cravings, you feel like smoking less and less until you're ready to stop completely because you're ready to win. You should know there is a risk of seizure associated with Zyban. To reduce the risk, don't take Zyban if you have or have had a seizure or eating disorder, or if you take Wellbutrin. Don't take Zyban if you use an MAO inhibitor. Side effects may include dry mouth and difficulty sleeping. Ask your doctor if Zyban is right for you, because it can help you quit smoking by making it a fight you can win. Zyban, you don't have to quit all at once.
Introducing Glade Plug-in Scented Oil.
It doesn't fade.
It doesn't fade away.
It doesn't fade.
Plug it in, plug it in. Scented oil makes this the best plug-ins ever. Plug it in, plug it in. Because oil freshens from the first drop to the last without quickly fading away.
Fresh in 60 days, freshens in a new way. Plug it in, plug it in.
Plug into new scented oil for freshness that won't fade away.
Plug it in.
S.C. Johnson, a family company.
U.S. troops tonight are in the middle of a new explosion of ethnic violence in Kosovo. Ethnic Albanians were on the march today in the divided city that is the focal point. But the United States blames the escalation of violence on Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic, still in charge, very much so, in Belgrade. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin has our report.
The ethnic hatred which spawned the war in Kosovo was on full display today as NATO peacekeeping troops had to fire tear gas in a clash with thousands of ethnic Albanians marching toward a confrontation with Serbs in the town of Mitrovica.
The key thing really was to prevent an escalation in which somebody fired on the other one. This would have been a disaster.
Crowd control is usually a job for police, but there are so few United Nations police that NATO troops have been pressed into service.
They are performing duties for which they have not received the full training that the police officers would have, and it is a significant concern for us.
Mitrovica is normally patrolled by French troops, but because of rising violence, a company of American troops was brought in over the weekend to conduct a search for weapons in the Serb part of the city. Angry Serbs started throwing rocks and 2 Americans were slightly injured. Meanwhile, in a part of Serbia next to the Kosovo sector patrolled by American troops, NATO has detected signs the Yugoslav army may be gearing up for another crackdown on the Albanian minority.
There is clearly rising tension in the southern part of Serbia, and large numbers of additional Yugoslav troops have moved into the area.
The hatred between Serbs and Albanians has never been resolved, and Americans are in the thick of it. Despite promises by Pentagon officials that the Europeans would provide the bulk of the peacekeeping force, the U.S. now has the most troops in Kosovo. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
There are new complications tonight in the case of Elian Gonzalez, the Cuban refugee boy. The federal judge who was going to take up the custody case is in the hospital after suffering a possible stroke. A new judge will be selected tomorrow. And the nun who hosted a meeting of the boy and his Cuban grandmothers now says she was told one of the women wanted to defect. After that meeting, Sister Jean O'Loughlin said she thought Elian should stay in America. In Havana this afternoon, tens of thousands of Cubans marched to U.S. diplomatic offices. It was another government-orchestrated protest demanding the return of the 6-year-old refugee boy. Up next, danger on the fast track, rushing new drugs to market. Is it worth the risk?
Net 1, Pearl 2.
Bingo! Mr. Barkley wins again.
These days, it's never too early to think about retirement. Maybe that's why so many people go to Schwab.com. In a few steps, you can open a Roth, a traditional IRA, or a rollover, invest in a range of funds, and plan for the future. Because retirement,
you got the upper,
comes sooner than you think.
Why is Lysol spray the best way to help protect your family? Because of what it does, kills the cold bug in seconds, and what it doesn't do, leave the sticky film Clorox spray does. That's why nothing beats Lysol.
Talk about a torture test. I took Aleve to my 2-day walk for charity. With my bad back, I needed something that wouldn't let me down a few hours later. Well, Aleve kept me going all day. My heart went out to some of the other women.
You okay?
They took something else. A few hours later, they were hurting again, ready to quit. I gave them my Aleve, and they had a fighting chance.
Aleve can stop pain all day with just 2 pills. It would take 8 Tylenol to do that.
Hey, Aleve! By the end of the walk, people were calling me, Hey, Aleve, like it was my name. So thanks, Aleve.
I may look young, but I still suffer from hot flashes. I discovered a natural way to deal with it. New Healthy Woman from the makers of Monistat. Healthy Woman's a soy menopause supplement that helps relieve hot flashes in a natural way. New Healthy Woman.
Ask your doctor about Nasonex, the prescription nasal allergy spray taken once a day for relief from nasal allergy worries, indoors and out, day or night. Approved for children 3 years and up. Side effects were generally mild and included headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing. Nasonex, because the less to worry about, the better.
Another MD-80 jetliner has made an emergency landing because of problems in midair. A Continental Airlines flight from Las Vegas to Cleveland landed safely in South Bend, Indiana this afternoon with 145 people aboard. The pilots said they were having trouble keeping the plane level. Airlines say they've just finished inspecting all MD-80s following the Alaska Airlines crash that killed 88 people 3 weeks ago. Tonight, CBS begins an investigative report, an in-depth look at a matter of life and death. The pharmaceutical industry is continually discovering and developing new drugs that hold the promise of enhancing, sometimes even saving, many lives. With that promise comes great pressure by the companies on Congress to get the government to approve the drugs even before all potential side effects are known. Cheryl Atkinson reports tonight's Eye on America.
Monica George was an active, doting grandmother.
Hi, Tante Anna.
Even diabetes didn't slow her down. But when her doctor prescribed the new drug Resolin to control the disease, she suddenly got sick.
Her abdomen became incredibly swollen. She was laying in bed moaning, vomiting.
7 agonizing weeks later, Monica George died of liver failure, but not before learning her illness was linked to Resolin.
It was like, oh my gosh, here I took this drug for diabetes to make my diabetes better, and this is what it did. You know, it's killing me.
What Monica George didn't know was there was already evidence that Resolin could kill. It had just been pulled off the market in Great Britain, and it was about to set off a controversy here in the U.S. over whether it reached the market too quickly. In recent years, the Food and Drug Administration has been under a mandate from Congress to speed up new drug approvals. So instead of a process that used to take up to 3 years, the FDA approved Resolin in less than a year on a fast track reserved for breakthrough drugs. It's still used by 500,000 diabetics.
No shots at all. I'm very happy, very pleased about that.
But Resolin has also been linked to dozens of deaths, and Dr. John Garigian blames its quick approval. He was the FDA's lead medical officer on the case.
We're talking about an incredible number of events.
Which is exactly as you predicted.
Unfortunately, it is exactly I had predicted in late 1996.
Garigian says the drug manufacturer, Warner Lambert, and senior FDA officials ignored his warnings of possible liver damage in a rush to get the drug to market. He was removed from the case, and his colleagues quickly approved Resolin. The FDA would not be interviewed for this report and won't readily reveal how many people have been hurt by Resolin. But a year ago, the FDA's chief epidemiologist said there were likely 400 liver failures. Dozens of those liver failures ended in death. Now labeling changes require much stricter monitoring of patients' liver function. But for some, the changes were too late.
Here was a drug that there was a lot of doubt about safety issues, and it was marketed. I'm just incredibly angry.
Monica George's family knows Restylane killed her and wonders how the FDA balances a new drug's benefit versus risk, the focus of our report tomorrow. In Charlottesville, Virginia, I'm Cheryl Atkinson for Eye on America.
Next on CBS, are Bill Bradley's presidential chances dead or just critically wounded?
Community resident.
For the latest medical news and information, visit our health website, cbshealthwatch.com.
Hosting a major golf tournament takes a lot of preparation, and no one knows that better than Arnold Palmer. Just ask Susan, his manager. With just one call, Office Depot delivers everything she needs to file dozens of registration forms and stacks of publicity folders. Yet even with all the last-minute details, Susan still finds time to take on an even bigger challenge. 18 holes with the boss.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot, taking care of business.
Ordinary cat? Feed him ordinary cat food. Real tiger? Feed him the real meat and Friskies. It's the nutrition your cat naturally hungers for. Everything he needs to be his best. Friskies.
Cold, dry air makes it worse. So can days like these. That's scalp stress itch. And Scalpicin stops it. Clean, unscented, medicated. To stop scalp stress itch. Fast. Scalpicin stops scalp stress itch.
In clinical studies, a leading pain medicine significantly reduced minor arthritis pain, increasing range of motion and flexibility. You may be surprised. The medicine in these studies wasn't a pill. It was Bengay. And now, when you use ultra-strength Bengay for your aches and pains, you get the heating power of 3 pain relievers to help you feel better and move better. Ultra-strength Bengay, medicine for your moving parts.
Here's your regular internet homepage. And here's i1.com. It's free. You use it like Yahoo, Excite, or other search engines. Only i1.com gives away $10,000 every day, $1 million a month, and $10 million on tax day. Which one would you choose?
Very loyal to this site. I'm not going to abandon it for some new guy with a truckload of cash.
You're kidding.
Of course. Do I look like an idiot? Look at this cash.
Introducing i1.com. Why wouldn't you?
In the Democratic presidential race, Bill Bradley and Al Gore are going one-on-one tonight in a joint appearance here in New York at Harlem's landmark Apollo Theater. It may be, as Bradley claims, his turf, but as CBS News Chief White House correspondent John Roberts reports, Gore comes in as the clear leader.
It was a striking contrast in campaign styles today. As Al Gore greeted enthusiastic voters in Harlem, a subdued Bill Bradley walked silently into a schoolroom in Brooklyn. A far cry from the expectant buzz that surrounded him just a few months ago.
Expectations were much too high for him. And in a two-man field, when expectations are high and you don't meet them, that's a real problem.
The challenger is behind in all 15 states voting in the decisive super primary March 7th. Even in New York, where Bradley, the famed New York Knick, gold number 24, once boasted a commanding double-digit lead in the polls.
His campaign at this moment doesn't have the fire and the fervor of a crusade. And he had one when he entered New York right after New Hampshire.
How did the crusade collapse? Strategists say Bradley let Gore attack him for too long without responding. He couldn't claim ownership of a single issue, and he lost the title of insurgent to John McCain. Heading into March 7th, Bradley is setting high expectations again.
It's crucial for me to win several places, New York among them, on March 7th.
If Bradley does win New York, I think it's time to pack up his basketball shoes and go home.
Outgunned by Gore in organization and party support, Bradley has decided to throw all his resources into key states like New York and Washington in an attempt to land a big one.
This story isn't fully written, and the game's not over. I've been in a lot of games where I was behind by 18 points with 6 minutes left and won. That's my attitude here.
How the next 2 weeks go could well depend on what happens tomorrow in Michigan. John McCain has been draining off many of the same independent voters that Bill Bradley has been trying to woo. Bradley's campaign is hoping that if McCain falters tomorrow, many of those voters may take a second look at their candidate. Dan?
John Roberts. Overseas tonight, they're still counting votes in Iran, but the results are clear. A sweeping victory for reformers over the radical hardline clerics who have ruled for 20 years. CBS News correspondent Tom Fenton reports that reformers have won about 72% of the races decided so far and should have a clear majority in Parliament. But Parliament will face resistance from other branches of government still in the hands of the Islamic hardliners.
Out here, I'm in command. So am I supposed to say, slow down, guys, I'm constipated? I don't think so. You try to eat right. Sometimes you can't. Harsh chemical laxatives, they can kick in whenever and wherever. Not an option. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. It's got 100% natural fiber. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity.
6 weeks before one of the biggest games of my life, I felt a strange pain in my chest. What my doctor found was my toughest opponent yet. 3 of my arteries were more than 90% blocked. After recovering from surgery, lowering my high cholesterol became more important than football. Later, I was fortunate enough to coach my team in the biggest game of the season. Along with a healthy diet and regular exercise, taking Zocor every day helps significantly lower my total cholesterol.
Zocor is a prescription medication and is not right for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems. Because serious side effects can result, tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience while on Zocor and about any medicines you are taking.
When diet and exercise are not enough, talk to your doctor about Zocor. Take care of yourself. It's your future. Be there.
You drag it, you bat it, drives you mad, but you can't get at it.
Say goodbye to dirt, dust, and hair with the new Pledge Grab It Sweeper and Claws. Because Pledge Grab It Claws are electrostatically charged to grab the stuff brooms and vacuums may miss.
You want to nab it, go on and grab it, so fast and light it could become a habit. Grab it!
And get rid of dirt, dust, and hair for good. New Pledge Grab It Sweeper and Claws.
Grab it!
It is the height of the ski season in many parts of the world, and we end tonight with some harrowing tales of people challenging nature with differing results. In the Italian Alps, the combination of bright sun and deep snow proved deadly today for 6 skiers. An avalanche swept down an Italian mountain and killed 3 vacationers skiing on an unauthorized route. 5 others were rescued. In the Swiss Alps, a huge snowslide buried 3 skiers, 2 Swiss and a German. Rescuers worked for 3 hours trying to dig them out, to no avail. In this country, 10-year-old Ryan Lanigan is happy tonight that he listens to his older brother. The Massachusetts boy survived a cold night on a New Hampshire ski slope after he got separated from his family. Searchers found the boy this morning and rushed him down the mountain to safety. Ryan says he kept warm by burying himself in the snow because his 14-year-old brother, TJ, once taught him to do that. Good brother, good advice. That's part of our world tonight. CBS will have full coverage of the Michigan primary and a follow-up on our investigative report about drugs being rushed to market on tomorrow's CBS Evening News. Till then, Dan Rather reporting. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day,